Hey there, rock stars. Sarah Rockin' Robbins here, author of the best-selling book, Rock Your Network Marketing Business, and creator of the CD series, The Rockstar Recruiting School and the Masterclass Edition. Welcome to the blog today. We are in the middle of the Fear series, where we are talking about common fears that people face in this business and how they can persevere through them. You know, one of the most common fears that I hear from people is the one that I faced, and the biggest challenge that I had was I was afraid to talk to people. Imagine that. Formerly shy kindergarten teacher turned $5 million circle achiever in her company. Really interesting, huh? So, you know, it was so funny because I remember my first time approaching somebody over at a cosmetics counter, and I thought, okay, surely, you know, I can start this conversation. And I remember going over to her and doing the network marketing verbal vomit. Raise your hand if you've ever done that before. That's right, I have too. It was all about me, nothing about her, right? And she looked at me like a deer in headlights. I mean, literally, I remember, guys, when I walked over, my hands were shaking. I'm holding this bottle of skincare. My hands are shaking. My knees are knocking for the first time in my life. I mean, I see stars. And I'm just blabbing away, and she's looking at me, and I just remember being so embarrassed. I feel the heat rush over me. And of course, you know, like any good daughter would do, I run to the car and I call my mom and I cry and I say, do I go back there? She goes, don't go back there. Get out of there. So I did the big ugly cry the whole way home, pedal to the metal, and I thought, how am I going to be successful in this business of networking if I am afraid to talk to people? You know, I started reading all of these stories of top leaders who were doing the business. And, you know, one of the things that I saw that they all had in common were, you know, most of them, they just started everyday, ordinary people just like me. And I thought, you know, we all start from scratch. Nobody goes to kindergarten and learns network marketing, although I think that that would be really cool, you know, if our kids did learn that in school. We all start from scratch. We all start as students of the profession. And so that's what I decided to do. You know, just like being a teacher, I invested years in my education. I decided that in the part-time hours that I had, that I was going to invest time in developing my talent in the network marketing profession. Therefore, I was going to have to read books on how to win friends and influence people. I went to networking events alone, and I remember literally, guys, sweating through my clothes. I was so scared. But it was a safe environment where people were there to get and give referrals and really grow you and help you to become a better networker. In fact, they have a lot of great trainings and classes about networking. You know, it was interesting because one of the things that I learned was the best thing that you can do when networking and talking to people is, number one, with them. Instead of what's in it for me, you think about tiny, their interests, not yours, right? So instead of thinking about with them, what's in it for me, you need to be thinking about the acronym TINY, their interests, not yours. Networking is all about engaging people, starting with a compliment. Like, you know, you have such a great smile. You know, what do you do? Oh my gosh, your kids are so cute. How old are they? You know, whatever the case may be. Thank you for your great service today. Do you love what you do? I start with a compliment and I always go into questions. And it's just like, you know, interviewing, right? Larry King, the king of questions. Why is he so good at what he does? Because he asks a lot of questions and probes and kind of gets into that person's world and who they are and gets them passionate about talking about what they love the most and what is it themselves, right? You see, when you ask a lot of questions, you get people in their element. They're talking about the thing they love the most and know the most, and that's them or their family, their passions, their desires. When I flipped it around and I stopped thinking about how am I going to share my business and my opportunity and my products with them, and I started thinking about how can I develop a friendship or a connection or a relationship? And you know what? If my business doesn't even come up in the conversation, we can exchange information and I can follow up later and say, you know, earlier when we met, you said you were from Texas. And I forgot to mention, I've actually got a business that's building there. You know, I'd love to get together for coffee, share with you more about what I'm doing, pick your brain a bit, and see if you have any great ideas on, you know, how to expand there, or, you know, any idea of who this would be great for as well. The fortune is in the follow-up. When you go out to network, I want you to think the same way. How can I make a new connection? How can I make a new friend? Compliment them. Ask a lot of questions. Like the game of ping pong, they'll ask you something, ask them again. One of the questions that I love to ask is, where are you from? And then remember where they say, oh, I'm from Detroit. And you continue to talk. And remember, you can always bring it back around at the end of the conversation or where you follow up. You know, earlier you mentioned you were from Detroit. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but my business is actually expanding there. I've loved talking today. Would love to stay in touch. Let's exchange digits. I would love to pick your brain a bit and get some ideas of how to build there and see who you might know that it would be great for. I've so enjoyed meeting you today. Networking is all about making new friends. And that's the best part of the business. The friendships that I have made, you know, the conversations, the relationships that has pulled me out of my shell and has really grown me into the person that I am today and the person that I continue to become. I no longer should say I'm shy. I say I'm formerly shy because I really realized that was a wall that I was building up and an excuse that was keeping me from living life to its fullest. I hope today's topic really helps you out. I would love to hear your comments over on the blog at sarahrobbins.com. Rock on, rock.